Hello, it's really nice to see all this interest in family medicine. Sometimes out in the trenches, down the road in Cornelius, I think, oh, they're going to need more family docs. So I worry, and it's great to see all that interest, and I hope that we hold your attention and pique your interest so that you stay with the path, or at least check us out, come work with some of us. I worked, well, I became a doctor after kind of doing some soul searching in the Peace Corps after I went to undergrad. I said I wanted to be a vet for years and years, and then in my junior year, I decided I did not want to work with people through their animals, and everything was thrown up in the air, and of course parents have so many good things to say, right? Oh, just go on and be a doctor. Doctor? You have to have a calling to be a doctor. So I went off into the Peace Corps and spent a couple of years thinking that I would go into public health, and then I was so frustrated. I mean, they would just, in public health, they would just, or in the hospital clinic where I lived, they would just sit down, oh, we're on strike today, you know, and a woman's bringing in her dying daughter. And so I spent a lot of time trying to work around their medical system and said, you know, I want to go be a doctor, I want to help people. And now I've worked in public health, well, I've worked in primary care in a public health setting, and feel like public health is really where it's at. So it's very interesting how you kind of go back to your roots or whatever turned you on in the first place. But so in Honduras, I learned how to speak Spanish and developed this really deep love for the Latino community, and put those skills into practice. And so that was kind of my goal in medical school. The first day I walked into medical school, I don't know what kind of doctor, I kind of want to be a surgeon. I mean, it's very interesting. I'm like listening to these stories, I'm like, hey, we're kind of, you know, a family, we have similar interests. And so I walk in, and they're like, this is the FMLA, and I'm like, oh, what's that? Or not FMLA, the Family Medicine Interest Group. Anyway. Got that on my brain too, but at any rate, yeah. I found the Family Medicine Interest Group, and it just seemed to fit, and kind of, you know, I strayed a little bit and thought I would be a surgeon, and they all knew I wasn't going to be a surgeon. Like, ah, you're going to be a family doctor. You're going to do open heart surgery at the bedside, but you're going to be a family doctor. So, and that was truly where I went. I out of medical school, I really wanted to come back to the West Coast. I'm from California. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be trained in obstetrics, and I didn't like the way they did it on the East Coast, where you were kind of a gatekeeper and sent off things. I wanted to do the procedures and all that kind of stuff. So I went to Martinez Family Practice, or Contra Costa County, so which is called Nashville. And that was, you know, a great training ground. And I came here. I had a National Health Service scholarship through medical school, which was a total fluke, and I was so happy to have that before I come out with having to know I had to go somewhere, but it was with the kind of doing the kind of work that I wanted to do. I'm like, you're going to pay me to go work with the underserved, which is exactly why I want to be a doctor, and I don't feel saddled with the debt. So I came out and I looked at Virginia Garcia, and I walked into the clinic, and it used to be in this little house. We have a brand new wellness center which opened in October, but I lived, you know, for 14 years I practiced in this hovel. And I walked in and I was like, wow, this kind of feels like Honduras. Look at this floor. Even though, you know, it took me 45 minutes to get here from there, from my clinic now, it's just a totally different world. And we get to go out into the camps and see the way people live, and see that they're washing their dishes out of a hose, you know, on the ground. They don't even have running water, and they've got their babies to feed and formula to fix, or at least hands to wash if they're breastfeeding. I don't know. It's just, it's amazing that 45 minutes from the city, you see this extreme poverty, and people live there for years. I mean, many people are migrants, and they go to the other lovely camps in California or to Washington, but most of them live in these rooms of cooking off of a little, you know, burner, right here in Washington County. So, you know, when I started working there, I realized, you know, this is really where I feel the most comfortable. I'm in this place. Spanish is spoken in a lot of Hillsborough, and it really feels like I'm back in Latin America, except that the cops are stopping, you know, racial profiling and all the rest. So I've been in this great family practice, which has evolved over the years from the little hovel. We've got a new wellness center, and I've really been seeing how my career has been really focused on all of the energy that I had for doing continuing medical education kind of went into, you know, what about nutrition, diet, exercise, and really looking at the whole person. Even though I came from the mecca of University of Rochester, they call themselves the biopsychosocial mecca, which everybody kind of calls themselves that. But anyway, Rochester really thought they invented the model, but
They did.
They did invent the model. I know, and then they.
Sorry.
I came from the Mecca, but then to see that integrative medicine and that allopathic medicine isn't the only best route to the cause. Or to improving people's health. I've really spent a lot of my energy in looking at integrative approaches, and so worked for the last 3 years to develop and get money to build a new clinic from the hovel. We turned it into a wellness center and really have the hope over time, and again, finances and the way that this country works, to have an integrated practice to include naturopaths and acupuncturists and physical therapy and massage therapy, etc., all under one roof, so that we're approaching the central person who's the patient from each of our modalities to really help complement one another. And we're not there yet. We've got a beautiful new building, and we have many openings for family doctors. And we also want to get our acupuncturists, etc., on staff. So my practice is full spectrum. I've delivered over 1,500 babies there in Quality Hospital, which at times feels like, and not Honduras, but at least like Martinez. Where's the obstetrician when you need them? And I don't do C-section, but sometimes I know that if I had to, I could jump in and definitely get the baby. So I've talked about that.
Tell about your family life.
So when I was in Honduras, I ended up marrying a Honduran national, and he, said, sure, if you want to go to medical school, go to medical school, not having a clue what that meant. So we were one of those, like 5 couples out of the entire class that survived medical school together, and then we survived residency, and I had my first son it was very interesting. I had my first son between 3rd and 4th year, and then I had my second son during second year of residency, and then my third child is a daughter, and I had my first year in practice. Yeah, so all those times are kind of not great times, but you just got to kind of have your kids and move along. And my husband, along the way, kind of was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life, and he came to Oregon and decided that he really wanted to work with plants, and he wanted to own a nursery. So he started getting his degree, his associates in horticulture, and I really wanted to grow food. And so I was able to convince him to grow food. So we, over the years, the last 14 years, we run a CSA. And so he spends his full time carrying the kids on his back. Well, he carries the kids on his back. Now they can run and help us. Or be teenagers and not really help us. And so he's run the farm, and I, in my spare time after I get home from work, I wash my hands and put my knees on the ground and plant plants and plan our harvest schedule and harvest vegetables.